Hello again. We are continuing in our chapter of systems by moving from writing systems of equations to talking about how to write systems of inequalities. So let's get started. Um, Again, it's pretty much the same thing as it was for equations. The only difference is, yes, we're going to figure out the quantities being asked for and assign a variable to each one. But now when we read the sentences, we are changing those sentences into inequalities rather than equations. So that's really the only difference. Here's an example. We're going on a field trip. There must be at least one adult for every 5 students. The school trip won't take place unless there are at least 30 people. So how many adults and students should there be? Okay, so what are we being asked for? Look for the question mark, and it says how many adults and students should there be? Okay, so I will let A be the number of adults and S be the number of students. Okay, and then now we look at the sentences. The first sentence says that there must be one adult for every 5 students. So how do I write that? That means that the number of adults must be greater than or equal to the number of students divided by 5, so that we can group them in groups of 5 or fewer students. And then the trip won't take place unless there are at least 30 people. So the number of adults plus the number of students must be greater than or equal to 30. Otherwise, we won't be able to go on the field trip. So there's my system of inequalities. And again, we'll talk about how to solve that later on in the chapter. Okay, here's another example. Tommy has $40 to spend on shirts and pants. Shirts cost $3 and pants cost $7. He can only buy up to 10 items. How many of each could he buy? So what are we being asked for? How many of each could he buy? So I'm going to use S to represent the number of shirts he could buy and P to represent the number of pairs of pants that he could buy. So in the first sentence, we hear about a $40 limit to spend on $3 shirts and $7 pants. So what that means is $3 times the number of shirts plus $7 times the number of pairs of pants must be less than or equal to the $40 that he has to spend. Okay, and then it says he can only buy up to 10 items. So what that means is the number of shirts plus the number of pants must be less than or equal to 10. So there's my system of inequalities there. And again, we'll talk about how to solve that in a future chapter. So that's about it for that lesson. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you tomorrow.